The plan for the day, I'm going to ask an elder to come up and say a prayer to bless the day. Then I'm going to go straight to our youth and ask Natalie to introduce our youth to say a few words. And then I'm going to give you an update on the 215 children and the St. Joseph's Residential School. And then after that, we're going to make our way to the field. At 2:15, we're going to sing Mitchell's Honor Song for the 215 and the 6,502 First Nations children that they found at these residential schools across Canada. So that's the housekeeping end of things. Can I ask an elder to volunteer to come up and say a prayer? Come on up, Johnny.
Ik ook stag naar Eske't, zo acht. Kalt ik ook weer, staan naar het goeilijkmendem, Eske't, en het gepoelig niet meegoekt. Ook stag, ik lees geilem knaaien, zo acht twee. Is toch een dam? Is de gedam gegooid naar je. Is je gestuurd naar de kotjatoch heen. Ja, Anna. Stan. Hier ben je gestuurd. Dat is geen dag. Zou ik stem. Voor de stem. Is een stem gegooid, kalt ik ook bij. Hier zo acht. Geteld naar je. Geteld naar je. Gepoelig naar je Eske't. Is er geen dam. Is er gestuurd naar je. Het lijkt ook. Als ik ook bij knoegende gegooid is naar je. Eske't. Wacht, niet letten. Creator. Today, we see prayer do a lot of things that we care about. Our kids, the people that come, the distance we have to go, the masks we have to wear, to look after ourselves. Doing travel, you look after yourself. Now, a lot of us carry that card. A lot of us that have that needle in arm. So they say, wash your hands. I myself, I take medicine. I make medicine. Sometimes I drink medicine. Creator, look after these people here. They come to listen, to see what you have to say. And we carry that. I'm an old survivor from the residential school. I went in there in 48 and come out in 56. The years I spent in there, I got rid of it. Now it keeps flopping it back in front of me. Maybe for help. I worked many years out there, Creator. The people that come far and near look after themselves. Oh, in sa kalot.
Thank you, Johnny. Next, I'll call up our youth worker, Natalie Johnson.
Ma'await, Natalie Ransquest, Ba'a Raymond Johnson Sr., Kia'a Elsie Johnson, Dad Noel Johnson. I am Natalie Johnson, and I am honored and proud to be the Esketemc Youth Coordinator, and we have our Youth Council with us today, and a few of them are going to say a few words. We have Kobe Robbins Johnson, Youth Council Representative, Martina Henry Wallace, Courtney Robbins Johnson, Drayden Paul, Maria Baptiste, Christina Stanislaus, and Dallas George, as well as Logan Stanislaus, Alana Robbins, and Haven Robbins. I am glad everybody was able to be here. I'm glad we're able to have this video today and live. It's a beautiful day. I'm really happy the sun came out today, and I'm glad we were able to have our first National Truth and Reconciliation Day. And, you know, I think I'm really happy and glad that we were able to have this day today, as well as I'm looking forward to what's going to be coming forward, being able to have, you know, more records coming forward, as well as, you know, the government stop fighting our residential school survivors in court. And yeah, and then so today we have a few of our youth that are going to be saying a few words about truth and reconciliation today. Thank you.
Wake, Dallas, George, Winsquest, Wanjetra, Renstamet, Esnuchin, Yuchuminam Youth Representative. Hello, my name is Dallas George, and I am the Youth Representative for Yuchuminam. My parents are Elizabeth Robbins, Dallas George Sr. My grandparents are Virginia Robbins, Hereditary Chief Wilford Robbins Sr., and Lori George. Before I start, I'd like to thank our elders for being here, because if it wasn't for them, none of us would be here today. The strength and bravery they have is why we are all here today. What they went through at residential schools was very traumatic, so I'd like to thank you all. We are the living embodiment of our ancestors. We are proof that no matter how hard they try to get rid of us, we will be here and be strong and resilient. The first residential school in Canada opened up in 1831, and the last residential school closed in 1996. My grandparents and my great aunts and uncles all attended residential school. Today we are not only here to recognize our residential school survivors, but the ones who never made it home, the ones who passed away trying to make it back to their home communities, and the ones who took their own lives while attending the residential schools, and the ones that they are finding buried on the residential schools grounds. I remember when we had our first Truth and Reconciliation Day back in 2013. I was 13 at the time, me now being 21, and it's our first national recognized holiday. From what the residential schools did, hopefully we can all heal from what they did and heal together. As some of us did not attend, but we do have that intergenerational trauma passed down by our grandparents and our parents. We can only heal together from relearning our culture through ceremony, picking medicine, speaking our language, or even just going to our day-to-day living. Thank you. Kuksjem.
Waked, Christina Rensquest. Hello, my name is Christina Stanislaus. I am a member of the Esketemc Youth Council, and I am the granddaughter of residential school survivors. My parents are Darren and Siobhan Stanislaus. My grandparents are Philip Robbins, Gladys Paul, Marlene Robbins, Bryce Alphonse, and Ida Cooper. On August 20th of 2021, I participated in the 3-day Bringing the Spirit of Our Children Home walk from St. Joseph's Mission to the Esketemc Arbor. I wanted to help bring our ancestors home so that they could finally rest. The 3-day journey was an emotional roller coaster. Not only was I ready to quit and give up, I faced the realization that in order for our ancestors and family to return home from these residential schools was that they had to walk or even run all by themselves, possibly with no food or water and with the weather conditions ranging from the coldest winters to the hottest summers. And there was no guarantee that they would return home. With all of this in mind, I had pushed myself to continue on with the walk. There were even times where I would talk to my teddy bear that I had picked out at the beginning of the walk. I had spoken to it as if they were my ancestors. I would ask them to give me motivation, and at times I would say, "We're almost there, we're almost home, just a little further." I am angry that our people have gone through all of this. I am tired of the "just get over it, it happened a long time ago" comments from the ignorant people. The last residential school closed in 1996. That was 25 years ago. And we are still to this day being affected by it. This is not something that will be easily forgotten. First, it was 215 children, and now it's 6,509 children. I believe we will never be correct on the exact numbers, but I do believe that we can get through anything. Our people are strong and resilient. I could not imagine the amount of pain that our people have gone through. I am grateful that our ancestors and our elders that are here today have fought to keep our language and culture alive. I am glad that the truth about residential schools is coming to light. I am glad that our ancestors finally have a chance to rest. I would like to say to all of the residential school survivors that I love each and every one of you. Esketemc.
I have to say our future looks bright. Our youth are able to stand up and speak there with emotion. And that's what you need sometimes when you look to the future. The next I'd like to call up is Beatrice to speak on behalf of the wellness team.
Hwai Kohwaida, Beatrice Anthony Risquest, Cookstachu. My parents are Bert and Dolly Johnson of Esketemc, late father Benny Andrew John, and my grandparents are Charlie Narcissus and Ida Edwards, and on my dad's side is Andrew John and Rose Fletcher. All of them attended residential school, and here to acknowledge our community wellness team and the youth, and pulling this together, and with the community participation to acknowledge and recognize and be part of this National Day of Reconciliation to honor and respect the Indian residential school survivors, and all the work that has been done to bring this day forward as National Day of Reconciliation. Phyllis Webstad's work that she did, and her story that comes with it, of beyond the orange shirt story. So carrying all this work forward to help the process of starting the healing within the community and working together as a team to be able to provide support within the community, and with the youth being a part of that, and to be able to continue to carry forward this work, and just honoring and recognizing our survivors, and being here today to do that work. Cookstown.
At 2 o'clock, we're going to start making our way to the sacred fire. All the drummers are going to circle the fire. We have ties here. After the drumming, you can come in and take your tie and put it into the fire. Prayers for all of those that never returned. The residential school experience wasn't a pleasant one. I'm a residential school survivor. And when I say that, people tend to look at me kind of starry-eyed and cross-eyed and say, "You're too young." But I think I'm a lot older than I look. Brief update of the 215. There's still a lot of research being done. They have confirmed that there are 215 children that have been found. What they're doing now is they're going through all of the research that they have, all of the oblates records, all of the information from the churches, all of the information, the oral history. And what they're trying to do is piece it all together to try and find out the names of these 215 children and find out which communities they belong to. We're here today to honor and recognize the survivors for all the horror from both the day school and residential school systems. Generations of history lost, generations of children lost, families torn apart. It's now time to heal. Heal ourselves and tell our stories so that our youth can come to understand the total impact of the residential school system and the day school system. Reconciliation is to work together to correct an injustice and help correct the wrongs, the past wrongs. The day has finally come, September 30th, the first Truth and Reconciliation Day. Today is the first step and gives a new meaning to National Aboriginal Day. Today, we'll begin to actually hear the First Nations history in our schools, in our communities. And I really think that this is the first of many, many years of healing that has to happen. It's taken them generations to obliterate our language, our culture, our traditions. They've not succeeded. Generations to try and erase the Indian from the child. They've not succeeded. Generations living under the Indian Act and the Royal Proclamation. Only now is Canada starting to realize the treason and the genocide from these residential schools. We now have a future, something to look forward to. There's a light that we can see, and today starts that day. Today is many and many, many years from now. This day is going to be recognized across Canada. And what we have to do today is honor ourselves, honor those survivors, and recognize those that never returned home. Our future of our children, the future of our grandchildren, starts today with reconciliation. I've said this time and time again, I don't want to see reconciliation, I want to see restitution for the 215 souls at the Kamloops and the countless others that we still have yet to find. There's still a lot of work that needs to get done, and that work is recognized today. And I really want to thank everybody for coming out today. And I want to thank our youth for stepping up and doing the work that they did to make this successful. And it just goes to show that our youth are ready to start taking that leading role, and that they're ready to participate in the healing of this community. You know, I was listening to my niece's story, and she talked about children that ran away. And I rode a horse with my Uncle Bill, and my dad ran away from that residential school, and they had 4 other kids with them, and they made it home. They were up at top of Whiskey Trail, and they didn't want to come home right away because they knew the police and the priests would be coming to look for them. So they stayed up there, and they only came down in the evenings, ate, and then they went back up and hid. Some of them were really young, 6, 7-year-olds, that they kept up with them because they were 12, 13. The 7, 8-year-olds, they couldn't stand being away from their parents. They ran home in tears, only to be picked up by the RCMP and the priests and brought back the next day. You know, that's one of the stories. And that's the history of the residential school system. We still have yet to have people talk about the day schools and what happened at the school that we had here. It was a federally run school. The federal government hired those teachers to remove the Indian from the child in our community and in countless others across Canada. That was their mandate. Today it all changed. Today First Nations have a voice. Today we have to heal ourselves first before we can help our neighbor. And that includes the settlers that come into our territory and make a home. Because there's so much guilt out there about their ancestors and what they did to First Nations people. Our histories can be told, and it starts today. Finally, we can hear about our leaders, our territory, not learn about Columbus and Fraser. But they came into our territory and claimed it. So now we need to start gathering information so that we can provide a future so that our children know the actual history. So that's where we stand. And that's where we're going to find restitution. Is when people come into our territory and they realize that this is Esketemc territory and that they will treat it with respect. So I just again want to thank our youth for stepping up and having the courage to have a voice and show emotion. I want to thank Beatrice for being here and lending us the wellness team. And if you're feeling you need to speak, please reach out to the wellness team. You know, they're here to help, they're here to support. So we have Mary in the back there, we have Jen in the front, Betty in the middle. Then we also have Beatrice and Karen. You know, please feel free to have a chat with them if you're feeling emotional. So today is really a great day. So I just want to send kudos out and see if my council would like to take the opportunity to come up and say a few words. Loretta, Kevin, is there anybody here I'm not seeing? Loretta, come on up. Kevin's coming. I know Neil said he was going to be here, but he's probably lighting his sweat. So we have flowers here for the residential school survivors. If we don't have enough here, please feel free to take one for your ancestors.
Wait, good afternoon. Loretta Weingart. Welcome to our first National Truth and Reconciliation. What a beautiful day. I just like to say thank you to our youth for their speeches. Just blows me away to listen to what they have to share. So when we were invited to Chase for the walk, I took my aunt and I walked 40 plus kilometers, and it was quite the journey to be there and to walk every day and say prayers and just really watch and be with their community. And then doing ours, I did one day and volunteered, and the emotion I had for our walk was just overwhelming. And so I still have my teddy bears, so every day I put them somewhere every day. So, you know, just kind of looking at them and just reminding myself every day. And really, today I stand here, I really have no words. Like, I just don't know what to say about it. But the stories that my mom shared, you know, of running away and
and what happened when she got caught, because she didn't make it far. It's just really difficult to think about all of the things that she went through, and for me to be here. So, and my grandmother raised me for quite a few years, and I have very little memory, but you know, when I moved home and just thinking, because I didn't grow up here either, so I only was here for I don't know, 5 or 6 years, and losing my language because of the trauma that my mom went through. Now it's like really hard to speak the language and to read it. And when I listen to someone, I'm really trying really hard to pay attention to hear the words and to really remember what they are. So that's impacted me, and so it's impacted my children as well. So, and the culture, that part was really easy for me to keep that, but the language is really difficult. And, you know, just being able to say the few words that I can makes me happy, but listening to someone is, it just really shows me how much it's impacted my language for just not for my mom attending. And so I just wanted to say we have a lot of healing to do, and so I would just I like to share that. Thank you.
Honestly, I stayed up pretty late last night, wondering if Fred was going to call us up here for something like this. And quite literally thought of all these great speeches I could make. But the one thing that I did want everybody to remember is we're still here. They tried to strip our language out of us. They tried to strip our traditions out of us. They tried to, you know, went so far as to bury us. And they're hoping that if that goes on long enough, that we'll forget. Look at us, we're here today. We're not going to forget. We just need to remind them that they expected us to be integrated. That's their word. They wanted us to be integrated. Well, we didn't do it so well because we're taking their tools and we're using it. We're going to go around, we're going to take pictures, we're going to get recordings, and we're going to show them, we have been telling you this is what has been happening for almost 100 years now. Why didn't you listen? If you listened, it wouldn't have been brought to this point where we have to fight now. We have to show them, as much as you tried to bury us, as much as you tried to strip our traditions, our culture out of us, our language out of us, we're going to fight for it. We're going to fight for it for a long time. A lot of us here are not going to be around to see the end of this fight, but we're going to do it anyways. We're hoping the kids understand that what we are doing today is giving them the tools they need to continue this entire struggle on our behalf if we're not around to see it. And that's essentially my where I finished my thoughts last night. I got the tools I need in my department. I'd like to share them with whoever needs to share stories with us. We want to hear those stories that other people would not listen to on our behalf. We need to hear it in Esketemc. We need to hear it in English. We just need to hear it. We need to start gathering that evidence, because when it comes down to the fight that's coming up, it's not going to be in places like this. It's going to be way up there in courts, so that there will be justice. And people need to know that we're not going to just sit back. We're not just going to be quiet anymore. We're going to record this. We're going to make sure that it's going to be in the history books, that it's going to be taught in schools. We're not going to give up. I don't know why they think that we ever were going to. We did not learn our lessons in residential school. And that scared the hell out of them. I think if we keep going ahead the way we are, we'll keep doing that. So that was my thoughts last night. All right, thank you.
Just to express the joys of today. Yeah, it's sunny, but it's windy too. It's blown away that pain that we all feel. Because in the joy that we feel for today, it's also sore because there are many parents and uncles and aunties that could have been here, but they weren't. And we all miss them. It's a pain that was passed from generation to generation that we try to all heal together, but it's tough when we can't come together as a family or a community. And so we need to remember that child, especially Mr. Sticks, that never came home. The only one we know of, but we know there's more out there. And we try to express that in the last few months that they started all this stuff at SJM. And we need to express that through the families and how we look after one another, even though it seems that we don't care, but it's hard with all this COVID going on right now at the moment, that we try to still come together even in a small group of this, but we're all trying to be safe at the same time. There was an announcement yesterday about the children in care that the government and Cindy were arguing over. Cindy went to court through the Human Rights Tribunal, and it's been 14 years, and the government was still fighting even though they won it. So yesterday the Judge Favell said, no, Canada, you can't keep doing this to the children that were in care. So right now we're celebrating that win, and we're hoping that Canada doesn't decide to keep fighting for something it's been fighting since 2006. And so we're happy for that win, because all the children in care that didn't get the proper care, the proper treatment, the proper help, all the families that lost the opportunity to send children to hockey or gymnastics or whatever, that we couldn't help those children even as a band. Whoever was chief at that time couldn't even say, oh, I'm going to help with this or help with that. We were tied. Our hands were tied at that time. So we need to celebrate one win today, and that's a good thing, because the children in care needed that help then, and they're getting recognized now. So yay for us as a nation that court ruling came down, and the judge agreed with us that it's time to quit fighting. So, and back to the children that never came home. I hope they're all proud of us in what they see us doing, how far we've come as a community, as a nation, as nations together, that they look back and say, my people done well. My ancestors, my children's children done well. And I pray for all the parents and dads that had children that never came home. Thank you.
just so that the names that he put out there, Cindy Blackstock is the one that has been fighting for First Nations children's rights. And she was on the other side in 2002. She was working for the federal government. And she realized that there was an injustice there, so she stepped down. And then she jumped on with the First Nations to fight for the children in care. Because back then, First Nations children in care, they didn't really, the parents and grandparents never really had authority. Neither did the chief and councils. And with the ruling yesterday, now Bill C-92 coming into effect, the First Nations have more of an authority role over children that are in care. So that's a huge win for First Nations across Canada. So thank you to Cindy for staying the course and working on behalf of the First Nations children in care. And I think I can't say enough about the work that's been done by Phyllis Webstad and the Orange Shirt Society, a nonprofit group, but they've been advocating for Truth and Reconciliation Day all since 2013. And we finally got our day recognized. So she's been advocating for this day, and I just want to raise my hands to her, wherever she may be, for the work that she's been doing. She's been traveling all over the place, meeting First Nations communities, telling her story. And I just want to thank her for taking the vision and running with it, because it takes a lot of work, and you know, she has a lot of support out there now. So, and she has the support of our community. On a brief update on St. Joseph's Mission, we've been supporting Williams Lake First Nation with a lot of the information that we have from 2002, when we first started the residential school experience. We did a lot of research. Chief Charlene pulled in a lot of information from all of the churches, the federal government, and we had it all here in our Lands and Resources office. And when we got the call from Chief Willie around gathering information of the residential school, because there's still a lot of work that needs to be done there, we provided him with over 3,000 pages of information, and we continue to find more information that we continue to send along to him. And the information is confidential information because it has names of not just the Esketemc, but all the bands that attended residential school at St. Joseph's. So that information, we had to sign an agreement with the Williams Lake First Nations so that they don't share that information freely to everyone else, because that would really put us in a bad spot. So we have a lot of information, and we keep sending it to Chief Willie so that we can make sure that any children that are missing, other than the late Duncan Sticks, the ones that ran away, the ones that weren't found, that at least we can document and try and find the names of those children that are missing today. There's a lot of information there that, you know, Willie must have probably 5 or 6 staff just fingering through all the information. And then they're starting the ground penetrating radar around the cemetery. And to date, we're still waiting for results. Chief Willie's been posting on Facebook, so please feel free to open that up and have a look if you want to learn more information about it. I get the information straight from Chief Willie. So right now, as it stands, they're still gathering information, and they're still using LiDAR to map everywhere where our elders said, yeah, there was lights up there at 2 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, there was lights over here at 3 o'clock in the morning. Or this person disappeared. Last time we saw him, he was going up the trail there with a nun or with a priest. So all of that information, they're trying to finger through all of that information. It's 3,000 pages. That's a lot of information that you have to gather and try and figure out which children went missing. So that's the update on St. Joseph's Mission right now, as it stands. They're still getting information from other communities, from Mount Currie, the Esketemc, the Chilcotin, the Carrier, as well as the Squamish Nations. They're still gathering a lot of information, and they have a lot of work in front of them. So I ask that you, if you see those posts on Facebook, please click on it, have a look at it. It's not quite fully up-to-date information, but at least you're being kept up-to-date somewhat about what's going on at St. Joseph's. So 6,509 souls now across Canada. That we'll never have an opportunity to be a grandparent, a parent, a mother, a father, an aunt, or an uncle. They were robbed of that by the federal government and the oblates. So when we go out there today and we sing this song, and we offer that moment of silence for all of those that never returned home, and we sing this song for them, to keep them in mind that there must have been a parent, there must have been a grandparent that died not knowing where their children were. So keep that in mind in your moment of silence and say a quiet prayer to yourself, because your parents survived. You're here today because your parents survived. It doesn't matter whether you're a residential school survivor or not. You're a child of a residential school survivor. You're a grandchild. You're a great-great-grandchild of a residential school survivor. So you're impacted in a way that residential school survivors would understand. So if we can get all the drummers to grab your drums, and we'll all go out onto the field. The ties are going to be over by the fire. And our youth painted some rocks, you know, so please feel free to take a tie and take a rock in recognition of today. So if we can get all the drummers and, you know, everybody to get over, and we'll get a circle around that fire, and we'll prepare to sing.
hey,